She never hits you where you expect it. Not with shouting. Not with knives. She strikes elsewhere with delays, with soft refusals, with a quiet change of mind that tests the shape of your day. That small pressure is the first litmus test. Fail it and there is no drama, no headline. There is only surrender. When a man gives his time, his rhythm, his reasons away to buy favor, he has already lost something far worse than respect. He has lost himself. You were taught to please. Power is taught differently. Machiavelli wrote, "He who becomes master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it may expect to be destroyed by it." Think of that not as cruelty but as clarity. When you refuse to dismantle illusions around you, when you mistake smiles for peace, you hand your sovereignty to chance. Most men do this slowly, by degrees. They adjust schedules, bend principles, smooth over a breach. Each concession is a small seizure of authority until they wake in a life that is not theirs. She is not chaos, she is calculation. Life trains people to be sharp. A woman who cannot judge the strength of the man beside her is at risk in the same way a leader is at risk among his people. From the moment you speak, she watches not only your words but your reflexes. Does your face tighten when she is late? Do you rush to explain when she forgets a promise? Do you give up a standard to keep the air calm? Those reactions map the borders of your character. Respect follows what cannot be moved. This is not a game. This is a test of sovereignty. A man who never inspects his borders invites invasion. Do not confuse kindness with weakness. Kindness has limits. Kindness without backbone is a liability. Machiavelli says it is safer to be feared than loved when one must choose. Translated into life, be reliable, be firm, be steady. Let your kindness be a policy, not a reflex that costs you your center. You were taught that love is earned by gentle toil. That truth has a blind side. Virtue without discernment becomes naivety. A ruler who practices goodness without shrewdness finds his virtue used against him. So practice mercy, but practice it on your terms. Be generous where generosity means something. Say no where no is needed. Hold your time like currency. Your silence must cost something. Your absence must be meaningful. Silence becomes a test they cannot ignore. Observe, when she mentions an ex, does your face twitch? When she dismisses an idea, do you scramble to be agreeable? When she is late, do you stretch your schedule like putty? These are not invitations to punish. These are mirror tests. They show you what you allow. If you flinch, you reveal the shape of your limits, and people, more than you think, learn to operate around them. This is about power over self, not over others. Power that seeks to dominate another is brittle. It breaks under pressure and leaves ruin. Real dominance begins inside, the ability to keep your center when storms hit, to speak your standard calmly and to keep it. The man who carries a purpose not dependent on constant validation does not whine when attention wavers. He continues his work. He continues to be himself. A man who needs to be wanted is already wanting. Look at how behavior changes when you keep standards. You show up on time. You do not run to soothe every slight. You treat disrespect as data, not as an alarm you must dismantle. That posture rewrites how others engage with you. Respect returns, or it does not. Either answer is better than the slow theft of self that comes with relentless appeasement. Machiavelli counsels rulers to simulate virtue. That line shocks because we hear it as disingenuous. But what he means is this: appearances matter in politics because people act on appearances. Be honest, yes, but understand performance too. Carry yourself with dignity so that your behavior invites serious treatment. Let your actions be coherent with the standards you announce. When you appear careless, you attract carelessness. When you appear deliberate, you attract deliberation. Appearances are signals. Send ones worth answering. You are not a victim of someone else's scheme because they smile or push. You are a student of your own responses. Train them. Practice being unmoved by provocation. Practice refusing to trade your day for a transient calm. Practice the hard no and the deliberate yes. These are exercises in ruling yourself. This is not about teaching you to be cruel. It is about hardening your core. It is about refusing to let every mood rearrange your life. It is about recognizing that love and respect are different currencies. One can be warm without being able to hold a boundary, the other demands a center that cannot be tilted by pleas or pressure. If you must choose where to spend your inner authority, spend it on steadiness, on purpose, on the things that build an unshakable life. Steadiness breeds loyalty. Panic creates opportunists. When you stop bargaining away your standards for approval, you notice something else. The people who remain are the ones who match you. The ones who were never going to stay move on. That loss stings at first. It clears the field next. You trade shallow wins for a life you run, not one that runs you. Machiavelli finishes the thought. Rulers survive by knowing when to be cruel and when to be merciful, when to be loved and when to be feared. Translate that into modern terms. Know when to forgive and when to close the door. Know when to listen and when to hold the line. The difference between a man who is led and a man who leads is not the absence of kindness, it is the presence of boundaries. If you want loyalty, earn it by being steady enough to deserve it, not by bending until everything you are leaks away. She watches how you recover from surprise. A test is not always a demand, sometimes it is a tiny earthquake meant to see whether you rebuild or crumble. You drop a plan. She changes direction. A friend provokes you. Your phone rings with bad news. Do you replay the panic or do you steady the room? The man who steadies the room does not need to bluff, his calm is the bluff. Calm is a force practiced, unapologetic, unavoidable. Calm is not weakness. Calm is a weapon. You learn to make absence meaningful. Presence is valuable because it is limited. If you are always available, your presence becomes wallpaper. Learn to withhold, not out of pettiness, but out of currency. Let your time require a reason to spend it. When you step away, you show that your life contains more than one altar. That choice forces a reckoning. Do people respect your hours, or do they expect you to rearrange yourself forever? When she tests you with tears, treat them like a message, not a siege. Emotions are signals. They demand attention, not capitulation. You listen. You assess. You act where action is needed and remain quiet where action is theater. Sympathy is not surrender. Sympathy is a tool when wielded with intention. Hook, respond with purpose, not panic. You refine the art of the deliberate refusal. Saying no is not a failure of love. It is a preservation of form. A firm no sculpts the space you occupy. It defines what you will accept and what you will not. People are inclined to respect borders that are clear. Vagueness invites test after test. Clarity ends games. Do not confuse rigidity with resolve. A man who bends on principle is not weak, he is strategic. Flex where values allow, stand where they must. This is not performative toughness. This is a living architecture of choices that support a life. Build it, maintain it, and do not apologize for the scaffolding. Borders are the bones of authority. You raise your voice only to order your own life. Shouts that come from insecurity dissolve you. Speak in ways that move the room because your words carry weight, not because you crave reaction. When you make a demand, make it on terms that respect your dignity. When you offer compromise, make sure it does not bankrupt your center. Let your language be a ledger, credits for consistency, debits for concession. Study your own patterns like an enemy studies maps. Which triggers make you fold? Which compliments make you give too much? Name them. Practice short circuits. Replace reflex with response. When provoked, give a planned move rather than an instinctive melt. These rehearsed reactions are not lies, they are discipline. Discipline wins what charm loses. Remember the social economy, reciprocity, not sacrifice. Give what can be given without losing yourself. Expect returns of the kinds you value. If someone cannot meet you in the currency you trade in time, respect, honesty, then their absence is information, not a crisis. Accept that. Let it prune your life. Finally, practice being interesting without pleading. Carry projects. Have a calendar that is not dependent on applause. People who orbit a purpose attract partners who orbit it too. That synergy breeds depth. It also filters out opportunists whose hunger is for convenience, not companionship. Purpose repels parasites and attracts partners. Machiavelli closes with a cold observation: princes survive when they understand instruments of power and human weakness. You survive the small betrayals and the petty tests when you understand one human instrument above all yourself. Rule that first. When your inner court is disciplined, the outer court behaves differently. You do not coerce loyalty, you deserve it. Stay hard where softness would cost you. Stay kind where hardness would cost others. That balance is not comfortable, but comfort is not the point. Sovereignty is. Rule yourself first. Everything else falls in line or falls away.